So welcome back students. Today I will discuss the remaining part of this topic, that is the respiration, the process of the respirations. So students, the respirations process is basically the two types. One is the external respirations and the second, that is the internal respirations. In case of external respiration, we called it commonly, that is called inhaling, and the inhaling when the physical processing being involved, inhaling. And the important term that is also we have tell, that is called the exhales. So the when the inhales and the exhale process is there, that means that is the taking of the oxygen gases and the removing of the carbon dioxide. So that is inhales of the oxygen and the exhales of the carbon dioxide, and this whole process actually called the breathing, and is also called the external respiration. So this kind of term you have to know also. Okay, and the second thing, that is the cellular respirations or the internal respiration. So one is the external, as well another is the internal respiration. So in case of internal respirations, where the chemical or you can say that the glucose or the food molecules is being oxidized by the oxygen, and under the privilege of this oxidation process, so it will directly convert it to the energy, and the more energy will form, and the other byproduct like the carbon dioxide and the water is also formed. This is the wastage material of the body for the process of this aerobic respirations. So remember these things in case of internal respirations. So food breaking or simpler substances and the oxidation process. So this kind of thing is be obtained in case of our internal respiration process. Okay. So that means the chemical reactions is being takes place where the food molecules are being broken down, or the food molecules are being break down, and simple oxidation is takes place. Okay, so this is we have this obtained in case of internal respiration, but in case of external, there is only the inhales and the exhale process is there. So now coming to the point, very important. So discussing about this whole things, and we are still we are discussing these things. What are the basic differences between aerobic and anaerobics, and what are the things are there? So we have elaborately we have discussed the whole things, but the most important one thing is there. So can you tell the what is the basic difference between the breathing and the cellular respiration, students? So because the respirations process in basically in the respiration process, the inhales exhale process is there. So in case of, so what is the basic difference between the external, that is breathing, and the internal, that is the cellular? So what is the basic things? So say, so the basic thing is, so in case of the breathing, that is the external respirations, so it occurs the outside the cells, and in case of the cellular respirations, whereas it occurs inside the cells. So that is the most important point, the first one. And the second one, that is the enzymes are being involved in case of breathing. So in case of breathing, the enzymes are not being involved, but in case of cellular respirations, where the digestion process is there, so that time, that means the enzymes is takes place in case of cellular respiration. But in case of breathing, there is no enzymes are being involved. It is a simple the exhalations and the inhalations process. That means, or you can say that the exchange of the gases is being takes place. Okay, and the third important point, so whereas the exchange of gases is, you can also be termed this kind of thing. And in case of cellular respirations, so whereas the biochemical process is there, enzyme catalysis reaction is there, oxidation is there. So any kind of thing you can use this kind of word, and this case of cellular respirations. Okay, so these are the basic differences between the breathing and the cellular respirations. Okay, now, so in the case of the respiration process, so respirations we can say that the one kind of burning process, but in case of the combustion process is also the oxygen is required. So can you derive the one basic difference between the combustion and the respiration process? Basically all the two processes require the oxygen. So without the oxygen, the combustion will process is not there, and the respiration process is not there. Okay, so the combustion process, the oxygen is also required. In case of respiration, the oxygen is also required. Okay, So remember students, the in case if you differentiate the combustion and the respiration process, basically combustion is a fast process. So oxygen is required both cases. We want to know that is the difference between the combustion and respirations. So the basically the combustion process is a very fast process, but the respiration is very slow and steady process. Okay, so it occurs every living things. Okay, in the case of the combustion process is required the high temperature, but in case of the respirations it occurs the normal room temperatures, any temperatures. So temperature is not dependent, so any kind of any situations we can do the respirations, but in the combustion process is required the high temperature. Until and unless we have not come in the high temperature, so eventually we will not be able to form the combustion process as well. So now so these are the basic differences. Excuse me so much. So this is the basic differences between the combustion and the respiration process. Now coming to the point, the respirations in the plants and what are the steps is, what are the steps of the respirations in the plants. So the see this diagram. So from this diagram you can easily conclude this what are the steps is being involved in the case of respirations in plants. So the first point, that is the oxygen is being involved or oxygen is being absorbed. Whenever the atmospheric oxygen is being absorbed by the small pores, we can see that is called the stomata. Okay, now and after that the stored food, that is glucose, is oxidized by the absorbed oxygen, and after that these things the energy in the form of ATP molecule is produced, and the carbon dioxide and the water as well as the end product of this process. Okay, so this is all about the whole chapter of this respiration process. I think the one part no, I think the whole part is there already, we have covered, nothing is being there. So one point I think is there, this is the respirations plants, and the important point is also there, so we'll cover it next video. Okay.